श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी ठाकुर जगत गुरु श्री प्रभुपाद की, ब्रह्म मध्व गौड़ीय संप्रदाय आचार्य गुरुवर की, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की, नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की। All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we will be serving Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 3, verse number 20. Snigdha smitavalokenā vacha piyusha kalpaya charitranena vadyena Shriniketan Chatmana. Snigdha Smitava Lokena Vacha Piyusha Kalpaya Charitranena Vadyena Shriniketan Cha Atmana. Snigdha Smitava-lokena Vacha Piyusha Kalpaya Charitrena Anavadyena Shriniketan Cha Atmana. Snigdha Smitava-lokena Vacha Piyusha Kalpaya Charitrena Vadyena Shriniketana Cha Atmana. Snigdha Smitava-lokena Vacha Piyusha Kalpaya Charitrena Anavadyena Shriniketan Cha Atmana. Snigdha Smitavalokena Vacha Piyusha Kalpaya Charitrena Anavadyena Sriniketan Cha Atmana. Hare Krishna. Word to word meaning, please repeat after me. Snigdha, gentle. Smita avalokena, by a glance with a sweet smile. Vacha, by the words. Piyusha kalpaya, compared to nectar. Charitrena, by character. Without anvadyena, without flaw. Shri, fortune. Niketana, residence. Cha, and Atmana, by his transcendental body. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ji Ki Jai. He was there in his transcendental body, the residence of the goddess of fortune, with his usual gentle and sweetly smiling face, his nectarian words, and his flawless character. In the previous verse, it is described that Lord Krishna, being situated in the truths of Sankya philosophy, is detached from all kinds of matter. In the present verse, it is described that he is the residence of the goddess of fortune. These two things are not at all contradictory. Lord Krishna is detached from the variegatedness of the inferior nature, but he is eternal, blissful enjoyment of the spiritual nature or his internal potency. One who has a poor fund of knowledge cannot understand this distinction between the external and internal potencies. In Bhagavad Gita, the internal potency is described as para prakriti. In the Vishnu Puran also, the internal potency of Vishnu is described as para shakti. The Lord is never detached from the association of para shakti. This para shakti and her manifestations are described in the Brahma Samhita, chapter 5, verse number 37 as Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitavihi. The Lord is eternally joyful and cognizant in the taste derived from such transcendental bliss. Negation of the variegatedness of the inferior energy does not necessitate negation of the positive transcendental bliss of the spiritual world. Therefore, the Lord's gentleness, his smile, his character, and everything related to him are all transcendental. Such manifestations of the internal potency are the reality of which the material shadow is only a temporary representation from which everyone with proper knowledge must be detached. So I will read the translation and I would appreciate it if you all can repeat along. He was there in his transcendental body, the residence of the goddess of fortune, with his unusual gentle and sweetly smiling face, his nectarian words, and his flawless character. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurohon Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagna Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Aradhyo Bhagwan Vrajesh Tanayas Tatham Vrindavanam Ramya Kachidupasana Vrajuvadu Vargena Taya Kalpita Shrimat Bhagavata Puranayamalam Prema Puma Thomahan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhur Bataidam Nayatraya Graparaha Ajanulambito Bhujo Kanakaya Vadhato Sankirtanai Pitaravo Kamalayataksho Vishwambharo Dvijavaro Yugadharma Palo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karunavtaro Navanirada Nindita Kanti Dharam Rasosagar Nagar Bhupavaram Shubhavanki Macharu Shikhanda Shikhim Bhaja Krishna Nidhim Brajaraj Sutam Radhika Saroda Indu Nindi Mukha Mandali Vandiye Shri Pada Padma Vrishabhanu Nandini Bhajamyaham Haridasa Varyam Bhajamyaham Haridasa Varyam Namaste Girirajaya Govardhan Namine Pranata Klesha Nashaya Paramananda Daine Shri Narsingha Jaya Narsingha Jaya Narasingha Praladesha Jaya Padma Mukha Jaya Padma Bringa Jagannatha Swami Nayana Pathagami Bhavatu me Yasya Prasada Bhagavad Prasado Yasya Aprasada Nagati Kutopi Dayanstuvans Yasya Stri Sandhya Vande Guru Shri Charana Ravindam Shri Prabhupada ki jai. So in this particular chapter, very briefly, it's the Lord Krishna's pastimes outside of Vrindavan. And Uddhav is narrating these pastimes to Vidurji. And he starts with how Krishna and Balram killed the demoniac forces in the arena of Kamsa and how Kamsa was killed and how Vasudeva and Devaki were assured that Kamsa was really dead. He dragged Kamsa's body in the arena. Later on, they both go, after releasing their parents, Krishna Balram, they go for further education in the Gurukul of Sandipani Muni. And after receiving education, the proper protocol is to give some Guru Dakshina to the Guru. And the Guru, knowing the capability of Krishna, asked him to bring his dead son back, which Krishna obediently did so to satisfy his Guru's desires. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitte Te Koriya Aikya Aur Na Kori Ho Bale Asha. We sing that every day in the Guru Puja. Whatever the desire of Gurudev, the desire of the Acharya is, especially in ISKCON, the desire of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada should be taken as the ultimate uh, ultimate to do. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chittete Koriya, with one pointed attention, I will fulfill the desire of the Acharya or the Gurudev. Later on, Krishna marries Rukmini by kidnapping her. Rukmini writes a letter to him because she was forced to get into a wedlock with Shishupal. And just by hearing the glories of Krishna, she fell in love. That's one of the most important things is, how do we, Prabhupada said that don't fear God, don't fear Krishna. Most of us who come from the Sanatan Dharma, I hate to use the word Hinduism, but just to make it easy, we are taught from our childhood, fear God. And even other faiths like Christianity and other, fear God. But Prabhupada said, no, why fear God? Love God, love Krishna. So how do you love somebody? You love somebody when we hear about that personality's wonderful qualities. And that's how she fell in love, and she wrote a letter, and Krishna comes and kidnaps Rukmini. After that, he has actually is invited. Actually, he goes once he hears about the Swayamvar, where King Nagnajit has called in different princes from all over the world to get the hand of her daughter Satya or Nagnajiti. And the condition was that there were 7 ferocious bulls that they needed to be controlled or subdued. So in the Swayamvar of Sita Devi, it was the bow of Lord Shiva. That was the condition that King Janaka had. Whosoever strung that bow could have Sita Devi as his wife. So similarly, in those days, Swayamvar was very common, where there were conditions, and to find the most eligible husband, the father would conduct this Swayamvar. So Krishna easily subdues by expanding himself into 7 forms, all the bulls, and also he puts the nose ring in them to control them. Then also we find in this chapter that Satyabhama desired that when they had visited Aditi in the heavenly planets to give her some gifts, she saw a beautiful tree, the Parijat tree. And at that time, that was the only tree in the creation. So she desired to have that tree, and Krishna lovingly takes that tree back with him. And Prabhupada mentions that it is not that Krishna was attached to his wife, and that's why he did it. It is because she was a good devotee. So Krishna reciprocates with his devotee. But Indra was a henpecked husband. His wife Sachi said, are you just going to stand by and look at what's happening? Why don't you fight Krishna and get that tree back? So everything belongs to Krishna. Isha Vasham Idam Sarvam Yat Kinchana Jagatyam Jagat. So like this, Krishna defeats Indra. And if Indra is thinking, or anybody else is thinking, that even Krishna is henpecked, that's not true. He just reciprocates with his devotees with whatever their sincere desires are. Then Krishna can definitely fulfill them. In Bhagavad Gita, the verse is, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tamsa tathaiva bhajami aham. Later on, he actually kills the demon Narkasur, and then he returns to the kingdom of Narkasur to release all those princesses that were kidnapped by Narkasur. And because Narkasur's mother requested Krishna, at least, please give this kingdom back to the son of Narkasur, Krishna gave it back, but he released all those wives, and those wives, all those maidens who were kidnapped by Narkasur, and then they looked at Krishna helplessly and said, please marry us. So all these princesses were married to Krishna, and like that, Krishna married 16,000 108 wives in Dwarka. And it is mentioned that he had 16,000 palaces and he begot 10 children. So he gave each queen a palace. So sometimes people, Prabhupada, I've heard somewhere Prabhupada mentioning that people sometimes are very mischievous and they try to uh, belittle Krishna, try to call him characterless because he is with more than one uh, gopi or girlfriend or wife. So if I have another wife or a girlfriend, what's wrong? Some people, of poor fund of knowledge, they argue like that. If our God, Krishna, can do it, but Krishna is Krishna. There he is lifting the Govardhan hill 7 days, 7 nights. Can we do that? If we can do that, yes. And also, can we build 16,108 palaces for each different wife or whatever number of wives we have in case if one decides to have more than one? So Prabhupada said, to maintain one wife is so difficult. What to talk about 16,108? So we should not imitate Krishna. That's the thing. Then later on, Kal Yavan attacks Mathura. The pastimes are there, and Krishna is also in those pastimes. He is known as Ranchod, one who gave up the field, the battlefield. And with the trickery, he had Jarasan killed because Jarasan then attacked Mathura 18 times. And that was really causing an impact, a fear. Although he was defeated, but the residents of Mathura, the residents of Dwarka, they were very fearful of a war situation. We feel that fear even today, the effect of the war that's happening globally between Russia and Ukraine. The economic has an impact. Everything, the inflation has gone up through the roof. Everything has become almost double on the supermarket shelves. So this is the effect of war. So Krishna decided to put an end to it, and to give the glories to Yadavas, he left the field and Jarasan followed him, and the rest is history. Krishna then caused to fight adharma in Kurukshetra. So the battlefield of Kurukshetra happened where he guided the Pandavas, especially in particular spoke the Bhagavad Gita to Arjun. Duryodhan was eventually brought down through trickery again by the stroke of Bhima's mace. And then later on, Krishna himself decided to wind up his pastimes in Prabhakshetra, which was a curse from Gandhari, because all her sons were killed in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So she also said that you will also, you all will fight with each other and kill each other. So the Yadus then, after the disappearance of Krishna, they killed each other because they were so powerful, nobody could match them. They themselves, it's just like a diamond can cut another diamond. No other piece of material element can cut a diamond. So they wound up their pastimes. Sri Krishna then established Maharaj Yudhishthir as the emperor of the entire world, or the entire Bharatvarsh. Just as a side note, previously, the entire world or the entire Bharatvarsh, Earth is a very small part of one island called Jambudvip. This description is given in the Shrimada Bhagavatam. And Jambudvip is one small island in the 7 different larger islands, Ketumalvarsh, Hiranyamayvarsh, etc. And then there are huge oceans between each of these 7 islands. The ocean of salt, the ocean of wine, the ocean of milk, the ocean of ghee, the ocean of honey, the ocean of yogurt. And each ocean is much, much bigger. That is one of the reasons why when we perform Abhishek of Krishna, we use these 5 at least out of the 7, because the other 2 are in the mode of passion and ignorance. Wine is in the mode of ignorance and salt is in the mode of passion. So we do not use that in the Abhishek, but the other 5 oceans, it's the representation of milk, yogurt, ghee, honey, and juices. So there is a nectarian ocean of sugarcane juice also. So it is like when the pujaris or the Brahmins offer that Abhishek, everything belongs to you, O Krishna. So we have collected all the waters of all the oceans from the different parts of this particular Brahman. Just like when Srila Prabhupada, I think it was the 100th centennial anniversary, and all the devotees went all over India and collected the rivers of all the holy rivers to perform his Abhishek, to honor his divine grace, Srila Prabhupada. So that's how we honor. That is a representation that everything belongs to you, O Krishna, and we are offering it back to you. Like this, Krishna also then protected Parikshit Maharaj, who is also known as Vishnu Rat, one who was personally protected by Vishnu when Ashwadhama's Brahmastra tried to destroy him in the womb of Uttara. Because the idea was that he was the grandson of Arjuna and the son of Abhimanyu, and both of them were very powerful warriors. So they were thinking that if this Uttara's son, which is Abhimanyu's son, how powerful he will be. So he needs to be destroyed right when he is in the womb itself. So that is the reason Ashwadhama tried to commit the heinous act. But as Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Tumi to rakhi bejare, ketare mari te pare, tavai chabasha tribhuvana. Bhaktivinoda Thakur and our Shastras say that if Krishna wants to protect somebody, nobody can kill. But if Krishna wants to kill somebody also, nobody can protect. Similarly, on a similar note, they wanted to kill Prahlad, Indra and the demigods, thinking that he is the son of a very powerful demon, Hiranyakashipu. So when Kayadu, his mother, was pregnant, Indra kidnapped his mother, and thinking that it's best to destroy the child in the womb before he turns out to be a demon even better than his father. That was the fear instilled. But Krishna had a plan. He protected Prahlad through Naradji, and the rest is history. He became a pure devotee that he received instructions from Naradji. Now, and then Krishna now nicely enjoys his life in Dwarka with his 16,108 wives in conformity with the Vedic customs of society. So here the word is in conformity means in that previous verse, it means he was a grihastha, not a grihamedhi. There's a big difference. A grihastha means one who it's a grihastha ashram. What are the 4 ashrams? It is Brahmachari ashram, grihastha ashram, vanaprastha ashram, and sannyas ashram. So what does ashram mean? Shram means austerity. Ashram means taking voluntary austerity for cultivating spirituality. That means all these 4 ashrams are meant to cultivate spirituality for Krishna consciousness. So if we are married and if we do not cultivate Krishna consciousness and we simply enjoy our life, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending just like animals, then we are grihamedhis. We are not really in the grihastha ashram. So this is a very important instruction that Prahlad Maharaj gives in the Shrimad Bhagavatam. And in today's verse, it is mentioned that he was there in his transcendental body. So it is not that Krishna, when he expanded himself, it was some Maya, just like Ravan. And many of the demons, they had Mayavir bodies. They could expand themselves into illusory bodies. When they were fighting wars, Ravan was capable. But those were illusory. They were not transcendental. But when Krishna expanded his forms, either in the Ras Leela in Vrindaban or in Dwarka, here it is mentioned that it was his transcendental body. And his body is the residence of the goddess of fortune, Shri Niketan. Many of those who are from India, many homes are called Shri Niketan. How many of you heard that name? Shri Niketan. That means It is the resting place or the home of Lakshmi Devi. And who is that? Vishnu, Narayan, or Krishna. And who is the original Lakshmi? Radharani. So, like that. And he was sweetly smiling, and his nectarian words were flawless in character. So, in the previous verse, Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport that the Lord Krishna was situated in the truths of Sankya philosophy, and which is detachment. Sankya philosophy or Sankya yoga teaches us how to detach ourselves from matter. And Maitreya Muni describes this also, Sankya philosophy, in cantos, in the same canto, in chapter 25. Maitreya Muni mentions to Vidurji, he described the Sankya yoga system of philosophy, which is actually a devotional service plus mystic, mystic realization. And that too by disciplic succession, a very, very important word that Srila Prabhupada has mentioned in the purport of that verse number 25. So we should receive transcendental knowledge or bhakti vijnanam, the process of science. Even in India, in most languages, when we study sciences, it is called Vigyan. But actually, true Vigyan means Vishesha Gyan iti Vigyan. If you break that down, it's a Sanskrit word. Vigyanam, Vigyan, Vishesh, V means Vishesh, and Gyanam means special knowledge. Vishesh means topmost or very special. So what is that special knowledge? It is not being taught in school, colleges, and universities. And that is why Srila Prabhupada made this wonderful institution, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, to give this science of self-realization, to give us this Vijnanam, topmost knowledge. What is that topmost knowledge? Which the fundamentals are in the Bhagavad Gita. I am not this body, I am a spirit soul. Further, what is the topmost knowledge that Shrimada Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita propagate? That I'm not only this body, I'm a spirit soul, but I'm an eternal servant of Krishna. That is complete realization. Because even the Mayavadis, they know that they are not this body. Aham Brahmasmi. And they try to manipulate the words and the translation of the Shastras. They play the grammatical game. Grammatically, they are correct, undoubtedly. But in order to understand, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Bhagavad Shuno Bhagavad Sthane. One should hear scripture from a Bhagavad, a person who has actually assimilated, digested Shrimad Bhagavatam and lives like Shrimad Bhagavatam. So His Divine Grace Prabhupada and all our acharyas in our Gaudiya Guru Varga, they are true Mahabhagavats. Therefore, when we hear the Bhaktivedanta purports, when we read Srila Prabhupada's books, that everything is as it is. There is no speculation. There is no room for speculation. That is the beauty. So that is the important thing. And Kapil Dev, who was none other than the incarnation of the Supreme Lord, he came as Devhuti Putra, the son of Devhuti, and he propounded this Sankya philosophy. Prabhupada mentions that there is also another Kapil Muni, and he is the atheist Kapila. And we do not follow that atheist Kapila because his analysis of the material elements of that particular, it was all based on an atheistic philosophy, which the Western philosophers, they really indulge into. And the Sankya Yoga is explained by Devhuti Putra, or the son of Devhuti, is practically unknown nowadays. So most of the people, even those who follow Sankya Yoga based on empirical knowledge and speculation, is from that Kapil Muni. Sankya Yoga means Bhakti Vitana Yogena. Vitana means to know, and through Bhakti, meaning the analysis of the material elements, one should know through the eye of the Bhakti. Devotional service to the Lord is expanded like that. That is Sankya Yoga. And how is it received? That is also stated. Tattva Amanayam, meaning this philosophy of Sankya Yoga should be received through disciplic succession. Yat Pravadanti Sankyam. That is how we should receive this Sankya Yoga. But it is not necessary to analyze all the 24 material elements and then come to the conclusion that actually everything belongs to Krishna and I am a spirit soul. Srila Prabhupada has given us this most profound and most amazing system how to be self-realized, following in the footsteps of Mahaprabhu. Gauravani Pracharine. Please, Prabhupada said, chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Follow the four regulative principles: no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. And what Mahaprabhu had instructed is associate with devotees, chant the holy names, read Shrimada Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. All these activities should be done, the positive activities. In your home, make your home a temple. Do Archa Vigraha. And whenever you get time, like you folks have very nicely spent your vacation time or your days off by coming to the Dham, Mathura Vas or Vrindaban Vas. That is the instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how to make our life successful. And Srila Prabhupada is perfect Gauravani. That's what he gave us. All the programs of Srila Prabhupada are as per the desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So like this, our system is we cannot manufacture tattva. We cannot manufacture philosophies. This is an improper way of understanding the truth. Generally, the Western philosophers, they try to understand the absolute truth by the ascending process, known as the Aroha Pantha. But there is a flaw in that. Our process is known as Avaroha. Avaroha means the descending process. And the Kripa, or the mercy, descends right from Radha Krishna, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Nityanand Prabhu, through our pure acharyas in that line who give us that special mercy. Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasado, yasya aprasada na gati kutopi. We sing that every day in the Mangalarti, that the mercy of Sri Guru means it's plural. It's not Vande Guru Sri Charanaravindam. Some of us kind of mispronounce. It's Vande Guruho. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is offering his obeisances unto all the acharyas in the Gaudiya Vaishnava line. Vande Guruho Sri Charanaravindam. So I offer my respect. Yasya prasadat Bhagavad. Your mercy is as equal as Krishna's mercy. Bhagavad prasad. Yasya aprasadan na gati kutobi. Without your mercy, there is no advancement in our spiritual life. So this is, and then there is other yogas like the Hatha Yoga system that is meant for actually the people who have got some bodily attachment. So slowly the bodily attachment will culminate into a kind of an advancement in spirituality where there's some realization of Atma factor. But the real yoga, or the Sankya yoga, or Bhakti yoga, Srila Prabhupada says, Yogi Nam api sarvesham mad gatera atmana. In the Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, Krishna says that the topmost yogi is one who becomes my devotee, who always sees me everywhere. That is the topmost yogi. There are so many different yogis. So the topmost yogi in Kali Yuga is one who chants Hare Krishna. What is that verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, where the most intelligent people take to this process of Sankirtan. And those Sumedesha, the word Sumedesha is used. They're the most intelligent, those who take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamanta. Krishna Varnam Tisha, Krishna Sango Pango Parshadam. Krishna comes in this age, as a Krishna, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because Krishna means darkish. One of the meanings of the word Krishna means blackish, but he comes as a Krishna. He doesn't come as blackish. He comes as Gauranga, as molten gold in color. And what does he do? Krishna Varnam. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always describing the glories of Krishna. That is the meaning of the word Krishna Varnam. Hare Krishna. Perfect timing. Water. Krishna says that Rasoham Apso Kaunteya, I am the taste in the water. And in the Sankya Yoga, that is one of the analysis, that when we analyze all the material elements, it should lead to the culmination of understanding that I am a spirit soul and everything behind this is a supreme personality of Goddess Sri Krishna. So Krishna very clearly says that I am the taste in the water. When we see so many things around us, we see the trees, we see the mountains, the universal form has been described in the Bhagavad Gita and explained that we can see Krishna everywhere. When we are even analyzing and looking at material nature, the mountains are like Krishna's nose, the caves are like Krishna's nostrils, the eyes are like the sun and moon, the trees are like the hairs on his body, etc. So we can see Krishna everywhere. When Prabhupada says a pure devotee sees Krishna everywhere, what does it mean? It means that wherever he is, not that when he is in the spiritual world, he sees Krishna everywhere. That was the most amazing thing about his divine grace. Even when Srila Prabhupada was meeting so many different people from all walks of life, business people, people who would just come for darshan, and non-devotees, people from all different kinds of faiths, Prabhupada, they would talk about something and Prabhupada would immediately convert that into a Krishna conscious topic. He would see Krishna everywhere, everywhere. So this is what Sankya and Krishna set that example. So in those days, even Lord Ramachandra and Trita used to meditate on himself. He used to sit early in the morning. He used to meditate on because he was a Surya Vamshi, he offered his obeisances and oblations to the sun god. And being the ideal son and being the ideal human being, he set that example. And then he used to worship his parents, the elders, and then he would sit in a secluded place and meditate on himself. And that is what Krishna also did to lead us an example that what is there to meditate on. He would meditate on his self. And what is his self? His self means he is not alone. Prabhupada said when a king or a prime minister is traveling, then his entire entourage goes with him. His ministers, his cooks, his servants, they all go. Similarly, when Prabhupada said this many times, that whenever there is Krishna, Krishna is always there with his beloved devotees. So when he meditates, when he's meditating, what is he meditating on? On the loving exchanges between him and his devotees. Krishna appreciates that. So when he's meditating on the Krishna. What does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu meditate on? 12 years he was in the Gambhira and he chanted Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. His meditation was to obtain the bhava of Radharani. He's thinking constantly, he's Nanda Nandan. After finishing all his external duties, 12 years in a secluded place in the Gambhira, a very small place, as probably big as this carpeted area, with his most intimate associate Sarup Damodar Goswami and Rai Ramananda were none other than Lalita and Vishakha. The most intimate. So there is Krishna learning from Lalita and Vishakha of fanning how to get the mood of Sri Radha, because they are so close to Radharani. Every little feeling of Radharani is understood by Lalita and Vishakha. And of course, the other gopis, the Ashtasakis and the Manjaris. So our acharyas are none other than those young gopis in the Leela of who are the servitors of Radha. So they understand. Nikunja yuno ratikeli siddhya yaya libir yukti rapekshaniya tatra ati dakshat ati vallavasya vande guru Sri Charanaravindam. They understand so perfectly, and therefore the service of Radha and Krishna in their most intimate Madhurya Rasa pastimes. Therefore, they are very dear to Krishna. Kinto prabhoya priyeva tasya vande guru Sri Charanaravindam. And it is also mentioned in this verse that is Sri Niketanam, that Krishna is the abode of Lakshmi Devi. And of course, Lakshmi Devi is none other, Adi Lakshmi is none other than Radharani. Sri Prabhupada mentions that these two things are not at all contradictory, meaning that he is actually associating with fortune. And at the same time, Krishna is a renunciate. Is it true or not? The definition of God or Bhagavan is the 6 opulences, and one of the greatest unlimited opulences that Krishna possesses is renunciation. So how does this, If we see somebody who's got a lot of wealth, then naturally he's not renounced, as an example. But when it's on a transcendental platform, one is like Srila Prabhupada, wonderful example. Somebody told Srila Prabhupada, and Malti Mataji is present, can perhaps confirm this, Nityadit Prabhu also, and Kripamoy Prabhu. Prabhupada was some disciples and came to Prabhupada, oh, there is a Mayavadi sannyasi, is very famous, and he doesn't even touch money. And then Prabhupada says, that's all right. I can take all the money in the whole world. And he kind of expanded his hands like this. I will grab it all and I will use it for Krishna's service. So Prabhupada had millions of dollars flowing through his lotus hands, but he was detached because everything belonged. That is called Yukta Vairagya. Rupa Goswami describes that in the Nectar of Devotion. Everything should be used in the service of Krishna. That is, Yukta means to engage. And Vairagya means the renunciation. And Prabhupada, when he first arrived after this Western, when he came back to India for the first time after, he actually haggled with the taxi man. He was charging double when he went to the Chippiwada temple. And he said, no, his bhav was, this is Krishna's money. When he took some of his first disciples, the first batch, to Vrindaban, he got off at Mathura station. And Prabhupada said, we will walk a couple kilometers inside the city. And then when he went inside the city, he stopped the horse carriage. At that time, there were no auto rickshaws or cars were not that prominent, or taxis in the mid 1960s or early 70s. So he stopped the horse carriages and he said, now we can go to Vrindaban. And then the devotees were like, what? There were so many waiting outside the station. Why didn't we catch that? Why did we actually walk 2 kilometers? It was that perplexed, they were perplexed. So Prabhupada said, at the station, they always charge double. Something like they charge 2 rupees. But in Mathura city to Vrindavan, it's only 1 rupee. So this is Krishna's money. So Prabhupada was so careful. This is a big lesson for us. We should also be detached, especially when we have been given a responsibility in either, leading or whatever, then Lakshmi flows. Lakshmi Devi comes with folded hands. It is by his divine grace's mercy, not by our own abilities. Ekaki amar nahi paye bal harinam sankirtane. Tumi kripa kori shraddha bindu deya deho Krishna namandane. Krishna se tomar Krishna dite par. Tomar shakti ache. Ami to kangal Krishna Krishna boli. Dhai tava pache pache. Ohe Vaishnav Thakur Dayar Sagar, E Dashe Karuna Kari. So it is you that can give us Krishna. So like this, this verse has mentioned that how Krishna, although he was the residence of the Lakshmi Devi, everything belonged to him, but in spite of that, he was detached. And then of course, Srila Prabhupada quotes this wonderful verse that Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitavi Stabhirya Eva Nija Rupataya Kalabi Golokeva Nivasyati Akhilatma Bhuto Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primal Lord, residing in his own realm Goloka with Radharani, resembling his own spiritual figure, the embodiment of ecstatic potency from Brahma Samhita. He possessed all the 64 artistic activities in the company of his confidential associates, the Sakhis, embodiments of the extension of her bodily form, meaning the extensions of Radharani, permeated and vitalized by her ever blissful spiritual rasa. So when he enjoys with the gopis, when he enjoys with the queens of Dwarka, one should not understand that he is like an ordinary human being. So this is the summum bonum of today's verse. Thank you all very much. One more last thing. He mentions that his smile, Krishna's smile, is known as Smita. If we carefully look at the Sri Vigraha or the deities of Radha Krishna, there is a slight smile. That slight naughty smile is known as Smita. Many Indian ladies are called by the name Smita, and Smita means sometimes when you slightly smile, then there is, like some mischief going on, or there is either some disagreement. Like when somebody makes a statement, like the gopis used to make many statements and Krishna always wanted to contradict. So what he would do is he would not even open his mouth. He would just slightly smile. And then people would get the message. So sometimes that slight smile is in sarcasm. Sometimes it's in some reciprocationary method. So even the gopis in the Gopi Gita says, Vraja janarthihan virayoshitam nija jana smaya damshana smita. You destroy the suffering of all people of Raj. O hero of all women, your smile shatters the false pride of your devotees. So they sing this when Krishna, disappears in the Ras Leela, because it is also mentioned by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and some of our acharyas that the gopis had some pride. They were thinking that Krishna is dancing with me. I'm the exclusive gopi. So then, like that, they're remembering in search of Krishna. So your smita, your slight smile, you shatter the pride so that there's so many different meanings of the slight smile of Krishna. So thank you all very much. All glories to His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Grantraj Shrimad Bhagavatam. So now if there's any questions, comments, or corrections, please feel. Yes, Mataji, Malti Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Comment about this, enigmatic smile, slight smile. Probably the most famous painting in the world features a snigdha.
Smita. Smita. Yeah. Yeah, that's okay. Snigdha means soft. Krishna's hair is described as snigdha, soft hair. Yeah.
One talks about shadow. How is it that in this world we see a shadow, we notice something, but we're not attracted to it. But Papa compares the material energy to the shadow of spiritual energy. That's so attractive to the Krishna. That's a feature of Maya. Was thinking that, like a shadow as an example, no one's really attracted to a shadow. Like seeing the shadow. But we know something, the shadow represents there's something behind it. But Maya is so tricky that she creates the shadow in such a way that it's captivating. And that's stuff that's interesting.
Yes. Yeah. So Prabhupada said at the end, I ran out of time. I wanted to discuss, but since you brought it up, such manifestations of the internal potency are a reality. So Yoga Maya, or the internal potency of Krishna, is the real thing, of which the material shadow is only a temporary representation, from which everyone with proper knowledge must be detached. So there's a verse in the Brahma Samhita, Golok namni nijadamni talecha tasya chayavayasya bhuvanani bivarti durga ichha anurupam api cha cheshtadesa govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajami. Radharani is the original vastu, or the original kaya. In Sanskrit or in the Indian languages, kaya means the real object. So if this is kaya, the hand, the shadow is chaya. But shadow cannot exist without kaya, without the object. So in this material world, it's because we wanted to become like Krishna, and because we want to enjoy, we want to exploit the material world, we want to become the bhokta. Then Krishna had to make that arrangement through the potency known as the external energy, and that that illusion makes us think that yes, we are the Lord and Master of everything. And can you imagine if she is so powerful, how powerful Mayapati Krishna is, or how powerful Yoga Maya is? So yes, we are so attracted and enamored by the chaya, like Maya. And can you imagine how beautiful the spiritual world is when we are actually under the domain of Yogamaya, Subhadra Devi. Hare Krishna. Yeah. So thank you all very much. My obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas, Srila Prabhupada disciples. I hope whatever little I was able to speak was pleasing to all of you and His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande Hari Jai. Srila Prabhupada Gurudev ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari. And thank you for all those who are online. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.